As you can see, I'm a mature woman, I'm fit and active, and whereas I draw the line at bungee jumping, I have been known to do the odd skydive. I'm a healthcare by professional, a workaholic by inclination, and a collector of single socks. I'm not past my sell-by date, and at 77, I decided to buy a 30-year-old caravan and buzz off to do the North Coast 500 in Scotland. What a beautiful route. You've got to go and do it. It's absolutely wonderful. Getting to Inverness, the starting point. A 30-year-old caravan, a lone female, aged 77 years, off we go. Mistake number 1. I had to ring a friend. After lots of pulling and tugging, I couldn't move the caravan from the front garden. Oops, I'd only left the brake on. It was night time. I had just finished a 12-hour shift and set off on the motorway with high hopes. There were 5 diversions on the motorway, so the first 100 miles took me 5 hours. I stopped at around 130 miles, hoping to have a quick nap, but it was so cold I decided to drive on to Scotch Corner. Mistake number 2. I missed the turning off for Scotch Corner and had to drive on to Durham Services. I was so relieved to get into the back of the caravan, parked into what I thought was a very quiet corner. It was so near the motorway that every time a lorry went past, my little caravan rocked as though it was a boat bobbing on the ocean. But I only had 75 miles to go to my first campsite in Jedburgh through the beautiful Northumberland National Park. Here are some interesting places around Jedburgh. The beautiful Jedburgh Abbey, and around the town this would make anyone want to go into the shop. I saw this skeleton outside a house and thought he must have been waiting a long time. And then there was the old prison, not in use now. Then there was the old castle in Jedburgh, and a cat who thinks he's a dog. I did think that if I had something to eat, it may help with the seasickness from the night before. I sat outside a bakery and ordered a toasted sandwich, feeling very sorry for myself. I was just about to take a bite out of this gorgeous melted cheese toastie when this enormous wasp dived into my sandwich and almost drowned in the cheese. I swore at it. I threw the sandwich up in the air and then slunk away to retrieve it and put it in the bin, much to everyone's hilarity waiting in the queue. My first evening's relaxation. Wrong. I thought I would get ready for bed and just watch a DVD, seeing as I had bought a television recommended by a colleague who is an experienced camper. I went along to John Lewis's, told them what I wanted, and they sold me one with a slot to play DVDs at the side. I had spent weeks going around the charity shops collecting DVDs, so I was quite looking forward to watching one. Spot the deliberate mistake. There wasn't a spot for a DVD. They had sold me the wrong one. So now I had hundreds of DVDs and no TV to play them on. Eager to move on the next morning, and Mistake number 3. I had a motor mover fitted to the caravan so that I just pressed a button and the caravan moved. Magic indeed. Only when I tried to move it, it was as though the battery was flat. And I knew that couldn't be, as I hadn't used it. Eventually, I asked a passing camper. It turned out I had my leisure batteries lock turned on, and apparently that makes the motor mover live all the time. So I had totally drained the battery. So it was all hands on deck to do it manually. Leaving Jedburgh, I had to pass one of the most magnificent landmarks in the Scottish borders, the Leaderfoot Viaduct. Oh, what a breathtaking sight! It opened in 1863 and well worth a visit. Jedburgh to Edinburgh was only 48 miles, so I just had to see the Royal Yacht Britannia, berthed in Edinburgh. For over 44 years, this floating palace was used by Her Majesty the Queen, who travelled more than 1 million miles on it, and so it became one of the most famous ships in the world. It was absolutely fascinating, but it was also extremely windy. So windy that my glasses blew off my head onto the deck below, and I had to ask a member of the crew to retrieve them. When I was travelling on towards Edinburgh, I had to see 2 famous places. The picture here shows these volcanoes that didn't quite make it as a volcano. The trees in this area have been on the same spot for 10,000 years. It was so very much loved by Sir Walter Scott that they stopped his funeral procession on the way to the Abbey so he could have a last look at his favourite view in all the world, and it was beautiful. Then almost by accident, I came across this statue of William Wallace, you know, Braveheart, who guarded the Scottish borders from the late 13th century and did a lot to give Scotland its freedom. It was very tall at over 9 metres. After Edinburgh, my last stop before Inverness was a beautiful drive through the Cairngorms, and I came across a sign pointing towards Aviemore, the ski centre. I knew it was on my planned route, so I thought I'll just take a peep. I'd heard so much about it. Only I took a wrong turning and finished up where, at the end of the road, there was just a sign for cyclists and pedestrians. And it was too narrow, it seemed, for cars and caravans. As I hadn't pulled a caravan for over 40 years, and to be honest, not quite grasped reversing yet, and in any case, the road was about 1 mile long. I knocked on the nearest door and asked if it would be possible, did she think, to take a car and caravan down that road. Also, could I get out at the other end? She assured me I could. I couldn't. After half an hour of going back and forth and almost jackknifing the poor little caravan, I decided to shout over the gate at the back of some railway depot and bellowed for help. When I tried to reverse again, my car screeched out a terrifying loud alarm. I had to admit defeat. What on earth was I going to do? Like an angel sent from heaven, one of the railway employees appeared and very kindly went to get the key to open the gate so I could reverse in. It just so happened that the guy had been a truck driver for 35 years. So I gave him the keys. Oh, and he very kindly reversed it for me. My hero! Now only 30 miles to go to the start of the NC 500. If you want to follow my further adventures, oh, and believe me, there's a lot, please feel free to like and subscribe so that you will be notified when the next one is ready.